Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is Krista. I am excited for today's episode. Today's episode is inspired by my good friend Becky. I'm actually working on a custom bullet journal with her, but I told her a week or two ago that I wanted to start a podcast, and I was like, I don't even really know what I'm going to talk about. And she was like, well, you should talk about how do you do this? How do you run a business and have 3 little kids? So I thought I would run with that because if she's interested, maybe some of you also are interested in that question. So if you didn't already know, I have 3 little kids under 3. I love being able to say that I have 3 kids under 3. It will be for like 2 more weeks. My daughter turns 3 next week, so I will still have 3 and under, which is still a lot. But yeah, I have 3 under 3. I also had 2 under 2 for a while, and again, I just loved being able to say that. So let's talk about how do I do it? How do I run a business with 3 under 3? First of all, let me paint a real quick picture for you. This morning we were at the park for almost 2.5 hours. Obviously that was for my toddler's benefit because I love just being able to see them run and play and do toddler things. And then if you can't hear the little grunting and squirming in my arms is my newborn right now. So toddlers are both sleeping. Newborn is almost there. And yeah, that's my life. And I'm recording a podcast. So that's 3 under 3. But let's talk about that question. How do I do it? So the first thing that came to mind when I think of that question is I want to say that I'm super in tune with my hormone cycle via pregnancy. I'm actually not very in tune with my hormonal cycle when I'm on my period. I would love to get better at that, maybe read some books about that. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But I am very in tune with my pregnancy cycle, as in the first, the trimesters. So you've got the 3 trimesters, and I feel like there's 4 trimesters, the 4th one. And I have bullet journaling to thank for that. I, with all 3 of my pregnancies, set up one 2-page spread, bullet journal spread, that was a pregnancy tracker. That pregnancy tracker was a 2-page spread, so you just cut each page in half. On the top of one side, I write when I found out. Under it, I write first trimester, and the next page over, I put second trimester, and under that, I put third trimester. I actually recently just decided that when I get pregnant again, because I still want more kids, for my next tracker, I want to change it. I want to do first, second, third, fourth trimester, because I actually consider the first 3 months after you have a baby, so the first 3 months postpartum, almost like a trimester. So anyways, I'm very in tune with the how I feel during each trimester, and so I know that in my first trimester I feel super sleepy. super sleepy. I don't really get sick, thank goodness, but I do very little. I sleep all the time. And then my second trimester, lucky for me, is amazing. I get so much energy. I honestly feel like my best self. I do feel like this last pregnancy, towards the end of my second trimester, I kind of already started feeling a bit sluggish, because that's basically what happens in my third trimester. I don't get super sick during my third trimester. I gain a lot of weight during pregnancy. I don't know why, I just do. And so third trimester is just literally heavy because I'm just heavier. And so that brings a lot of challenges, especially this last pregnancy when I had my 2 toddlers. So I was pretty out of it during my third trimester this last time. So if you take this past pregnancy, actually, first trimester, I was kind of not bummed to be pregnant, but I was bummed about the lack of energy, because I actually had just got off of launching my bullet journal, just got off of fun bullet journal parties, and I was super excited to get into gear with my business, and I was gonna hire a couple different coaches and stuff, and it just wasn't sitting right with me. And then a week or 2 later, I found out I was pregnant, and I'm so glad I didn't hire those coaches or whatever, because basically I just didn't have energy to really do anything that first trimester. I kind of didn't do much social media then, or work on my business, and that's fine. I actually feel like I have leaned into the belief that my hormonal cycle and leaning into that will actually help my business. So that is a perk of having your own business as a woman, I would say, is being able to follow your hormones. And then second trimester, I got super back into like wanting to grow my business and like working on everything. I think I actually had the idea to start my podcast back then. And then third trimester again rolled around, and it was like kind of all the energy went out the window, and just a little bit survival mode. So anyways, that brings us to the fourth trimester, I'm calling it, which is where I'm currently at, which is almost like the second trimester, where I just get a ton of energy again because I have way more, I guess, mental space. I get really excited to like work again. So, I've started this podcast. I've been doing a lot more work. But I also physically, get excited because I literally had a 10-pound baby. So I lost 10 pounds. And I mean, I've lost way more than I lose 30 pounds basically right when I have the baby. So I'm literally 30 pounds lighter, which is just physically way easier to do things. So yeah, I'm in that phase currently. So if you're asking me like right now, how am I doing it? Well, I know according to like my hormones, I'm in a good place to like be in a good spot, which actually works out really well for my business because it's the end of year. People are super excited to journal and planner again. So it's kind of a busy season for me. And so I'm ready for it. Okay. But besides that, like, how do I do it? Well, if you listen to my last episode, this business has always been because I want to be the main caretaker for my kids, I want to be the main caregiver for my kids. So I was working full time as a high school math teacher before I had kids, and I was planning to go back after I had my newborn, and I just literally couldn't. So like, just something about me, I love this phase. I love having newborns. I love toddlers. I love my kids. This phase feels fun to me. It is very busy. Like, kids this age especially are a lot of work. I recently saw a Facebook or an Instagram post of somebody who, she was like, I was asked to watch 2 toddlers for 24 hours while my sister-in-law, I think, had a baby. So basically me. And she was just like, toddlers are so much work. There is no break. There is no break. I mean, I guess like when they're sleeping is kind of a break, but something else that I like really have tried to embody as a mother is that like I do not want to be living my life waiting for my kids to go to sleep. Like, it is all my life. In fact, this business is a small part of I wouldn't say it's a small part of my life, but like time-wise, my goal is to commit only a small amount of time to this business, because really what I want to be spending my time with is the people that I'm most obsessed with. And the people that I'm most obsessed with are my awesome kids. I love them so much. And my husband. So my goal in my business is to be spending as little time on this business so that I can be spending the most time with my kids. And that's not to say that I don't like spending time on my business. I like spending time on my business. Like, when my kids go to sleep and I do have time to work on my business, I am very excited, but that's not like what is the highlight of my day. And it took a while for me to get to that point. Like, I would say that a year ago when I was building my business, I did not have that perspective. I was kind of like, oh, like if I just had some more time away from my kids, I could really like work on my business. But like, I have leaned into the belief, like I said, that I can spend as little or as much time as I want in my business, and it will grow as I want it to grow, as long as I'm doing what I know to grow my business, which I've invested a lot of time in figuring out what works to grow my business. So we're getting there. A big question any mom, I feel like, should ask themselves if they want to start a business or grow a business is, do I need more support? And so right now, I would say I'm in a pretty good spot support-wise. Like, I really like all the support I have, but I'll give an example of a few months ago when I was like, do I need more support? Yes. And specifically, the support that I needed in order to grow my business was childcare. So the options here, I live in Arizona right now, for me to have childcare would be to, one, hire childcare, which requires, especially with my kids, like a period of almost like transition and training. They have not really experienced childcare at all. So if I wanted to hire childcare, it would require, one, money, and two, the time and commitment for me to like train that babysitter, train my kids. And to be honest, that didn't really sound very fun to me, because remember, the point of this job for me was to be able to be the main caregiver for my kids. So that just like felt off. So that option was not something that I wanted to go with, which is actually hard for me to admit because most of the coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs that I like am really inspired by all say you need to hire childcare or hire childcare. And so it's hard for me to admit that like that is actually not how I want to grow my business. I don't want to hire childcare. Well, I do want some childcare support, but the option to hire childcare is not the option that I have gone with. So another option, which I'm actually open to, but haven't really put this out there yet, so I should, would be to maybe like do a swap with another mom business owner. So if any of my Arizona mom business owners would ever want to like swap kids for a few hours, hit me up. We could like see if that could be arranged or would be a good arrangement for both of our kids, because obviously I want my kids to be happy. I could see like a child swap where my kids would be like thriving, like yes. So anyways, if you're interested in that, let me know. But again, I didn't want to commit to that. So a few months ago when I was like, I need more support, specifically in the area of childcare, I decided who is the most qualified childcare giver for my kids and like knows them super well and I would have no worries about leaving my kids with them, and it is my husband, Spencer, of course, their dad. So in my head, I was like, okay, I need Spencer more. And so actually at the time, he was working 2 jobs. So he was working as a UPS preloader, which was like 4 or 5 hours in the morning, like from 5 to 9 to 10 a.m. And so, mornings were by myself, and that's fine. And then he had a work from home job that was basically full time after that. So he was working like 60 to 70 hours a week, which was like really hard for him. It was really demanding for him. And then obviously it was really demanding for me too, right? Like the times that he's working, especially when he was at UPS, I was on my own with the 2 toddlers and I was very pregnant. So that was rough. And then he worked from home, and actually I really liked that. Like that job, he was able to like, he was never really able to like watch my kids for me, but like he could kind of like pop out here and there and like help with things, which actually made a huge difference. Again, especially when I was in my 3rd trimester and really struggling. So we kind of like sat on both of those jobs for a bit because both of them had like good potential to become what could be his like career. And I just sat down for a second and I just was like, okay, if I want to grow this business and if I want more support from him with childcare, then I need him to not be working both these jobs. And so I was like, he should just work that work from home job. If he could get that job to be his main job, I really liked it. I liked him being home, and it would just free up so much time and like for him to be able to help me in my business, which of course he's so supportive of anything in my business. So we know that, we learned that in the last episode. So we had like I think we went on a date or something. We were talking and it was just like, I was like, Spence, you need to just tell that work from home job, like, hey, if you have a position open for me that it's like salary and the right amount, I would be able to like quit UPS and I would go full time for you guys, which they had already kind of like hinted at. He had like applied for a job and like they had hinted at him wanting him to like do a position higher than what he was doing, but it didn't work out. So I told him to tell somebody that, and he did. He told kind of like his boss that. And then right before I had my 3rd child, right before I went into labor, literally like the week before, he interviewed for a promotion that would basically be what we talked about, where he would have, a salary that was good enough for him to quit his other job. And so he took time off of his UPS job. He took time off of that job. And the day or 2 after he got back from his work from home job, they offered him the promotion, which was like honestly life-changing. And so he got that, and we are so happy. But like in my head, I was just like, yes, this is all Spencer's promotion, and he did all of it to get there. But I'm super happy because in my head I was like, I need childcare, I need Spencer, I need more time. And so now he has so much more time. I mean, he's still working 40 hours a week, but and like I said, my goal right now is not to spend more time in my business, is to be super intentional about when I'm working on my business and when I'm not. And so I am able to, like, when I have important client calls for like making custom journals, coaching calls, I'm able to schedule those with childcare that I'm like 100% trust in. And so that's just been such a huge blessing. So that is my, like, I guess, childcare journey. And maybe that's not everybody's, but if you have 3 kids under 3, you need support. And that's not to say that like we both are drowning. We are not drowning. I mean, like that girl said, this 3 under 3 is like no walk in the park or no walk to the park. I don't know what I'm saying, but it is work. It is hard work. And something that I admire about myself and Spencer is that we are hard workers. And so like, yeah, I just see Spencer like cleaning and doing, even when we're just working all the time is basically what it's at. But like, I know it won't always be that way. And so, and if I ever feel like we need more support, then I'm not like afraid to try and get more support. Like I would say, of course, the one like flaw, I guess, in my plan for him being this childcare provider is that when do we get to go on dates? It's kind of hard for us to go on dates. So I am like, you know, still looking to expand and grow into more childcare options. But like for now, that's what feels good and right for me. And so going back to like, we're both hard workers is just like, I really enjoy caregiving. I enjoy being with my kids and like feeding them, changing their diapers. I will admit, when I was like in the 3rd trimester, literally changing their diapers and feeding them was like the 2 things I was like, I just gotta at least do these 2 things today. And we were watching lots of shows when I was in my 3rd trimester. So it was a lot of work. But yeah, so I guess I would say that most of the time that I work is when my kids are asleep or when Spencer can provide childcare for them, which again, I'm not like dying for them to sleep. And in fact, a couple of weeks or a week or 2 ago, you know, I'm first of all, having a newborn is like so new, right? Like every day, especially at the beginning, was just like, whoa, what's going to happen? And it's still like everything's changing kind of fastly. So like I said, if I need more support in childcare, I'll be open to it. But like everything just like changes so fast. And so I remember I posted on my stories a few weeks ago or a week or 2 ago, I was like, all 3 babies are asleep. That's been 2 days in a row. And like so many people were like, you're amazing. That's the best. Like savor this time. I don't know. I almost wanted to like go back on there and be like, wait, like I am not like, I post that because like that's when I like do usually hop on and do some work, but like that's not like my life. I'm not like, if all 3 of my kids don't nap at the same time, that day is not ruined. And I'm proud of myself because there was a time when if my kids weren't napping at the same time, I was like mad, but like my day's not ruined. Like there are days when like I don't really get time to work during the day, which, you know, it bums me out a little bit, but like that's okay. This is my own business. I can work whenever I want to. So, and I'm trying to be flexible and fluid at this time because, you know, they're literally all basically still babies. So I can't like put that on them. And I actually enjoy when like only 1 or 2, especially when like she was so little, it would be kind of fun if like one was awake while the other was sleeping, because then they got one-on-one time with my newborn, the newborn, and like seeing that dynamic build. Like I enjoy like the different one-on-ones with each of my kids, whether they're like, if they're not all sleeping together, then I like savor the time of like, oh, it's just you now, yay, or like, oh, it's just my 1.5-year-old, like this is fun. So I try and be super basically just intentional with my time. And so circling back to this again, I was trying to get to this and I somehow went off on a different tangent, but anyways, circling back to like, this is hard work, yes, and like it is basically 24/7. Like when we go to bed, we're still like, I'm usually up with, you know, the newborn a little bit in the night, and my husband usually sometimes is up with the other kids if they're up in the night. So like we are like constantly working, and it is a lot of work, and we do get tired, but like it's fine. I am someone who enjoys work, and you know what? Me and my husband actually met at work. We were working at a restaurant together, and we were both really good at our jobs. So like we are good at our jobs, right? Spencer just got a promotion because he is good at his job. Like I am super excited because I remember at my last job, which was a part-time work from home job as a teacher, and even as with my job as like a teacher, like I was good at those jobs. They loved me there. My employers have always loved me. And I do remember having this like little thought of just like, man, like, especially when I had kids and I was working in that part-time work from home job, I'm like, well, I'm giving so much to them. Like, I'm such a good worker. I wish I could just like do this for myself, right? Like if I could hire someone, I would want to hire myself. I know how hard I work, and I know like that when I do put my mind to something, I do it well. That's just like who I am. So I am just so excited for this business because I am running it and I know I'm such a good worker. So it's gonna succeed. And I totally have that belief. And like I also just like totally have that belief, like I said, that like if I want to make a lot of money with this job, which I do, I can do it working, around the schedule that I want to work around. And so it is the flexible with my kids when they're napping or not napping, right? Or when I have that work hour when Spencer is like watching the kids and I can work. Like I know I can make it work. And so yes, if hiring childcare is what you need to do to make your business grow, great. But also like this is, if you need it, this is your permission slip to know that like you don't have to hire childcare. Everyone can run their business how they need to run it. And so that's mostly it for today. Well, thank you so much for listening. I am loving having this podcast. I'm so glad that I started it, and I am excited to see what comes of it. And just like Becky kind of submitted a question for me to answer, if you have like any topics that you would want me to go over during or for my podcast, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Created by Krista Kirky. If you want to come on my podcast and talk about anything cool that you've created in your life, that would be fun to hear about. And if you want to hop on a one-on-one journaling transformational coaching call with me, please find me and send me a DM and we can set that up. I would love to set up a free chat with you. So I am looking forward to the next episode and I hope you are too. We'll catch you next time.